now, Rob.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you've been jet setting all up and down the West Coast, seeing what old Governor Newsom's been doing to the state of California, huh?
It's wild is, living in Oregon, we got the same problem. We have, a very liberal governor that does a lot of raise taxes and doesn't get things done and not very popular. And everybody you talk to down here, and they're like, oh, they don't like him at all. I'm like, well,
Hmm.
who's voting for this guy?
Well, did we lose Dave? I think we lost Dave. He's probably still talking. He doesn't even know that we lost him. So, we'll try. Now, there you go. There you go, Dave. Now you're back.
There we go.
So
The
what?
thing about California compared to Oregon
What
though, is
happened, Dave? Wait, what happened?
I don't know. It said connection lost.
Oh, okay.
Um, there's just so many more people in California. I mean,
Mhm.
you can slice it any way you want, but California is just a massive amount of people. The roads are just 5 lane freeways. They're all packed. We started coming to Coachella Valley, where Palm Springs is at, 18 years ago,
Mhm.
and this valley's grown a lot. And I can see why a lot of people come here. It's beautiful. It's sunny most of the time. There's a lot to do. If you like outdoors, golf, hiking, tennis, pickleball, swimming, anything to do with being outside. But we've met people here from all over the country. A lot of Wisconsin people, a lot of Minnesota people, a lot of Canadians come down here. But you run into people. That's part of my notes is the stories. You hear almost everybody that comes here obviously came from someplace else. This is like
Mhm.
a destination spot that started in the 40s, with Sinatra and Dean Martin and Bob Hope and all those guys. And so that's the old Palm Springs moving east. And so then you get into Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Indian Wells, um, oh gosh, La Quinta, Indio, a couple more, and they're all kind of interconnected now. And
Is this like north of the Mexico border, south of San Diego, or?
well, it's east of LA about 2 hours, in
Oh,
San Diego
okay.
about 2 hours, and then obviously north of Mexico,
Yeah.
probably by I don't know 50 to 100 miles, I imagine.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I mean it's crazy. Last night we were some places. There's a lot of money here, and then there's not a lot of money. There's just a lot of people, that have enough retirement to live this kind of life, where they want to, snowbird, or they want to be here year round. So
Okay. Let me ask you this: Do you, as you talk to people, do you hear the same things that they talk about? Everyday people from across America, are they talking about the same things that the people on CNN are talking about, or is it totally different?
it's totally different. I'd say almost everybody we run into, seriously, and you get talking, and Judy and I talk, and we try to be friendly with everybody. It's high percentage of people really like President Trump. They really like the direction of the country. They they know. Well, we met several people that used to be Democrats that have become Republicans, but they're more moderate. It's kind of like what we talked about. They're more moderate Democrats. They're not. They don't. They don't fall into that hard left.
Hmm.
And most Republicans don't fall into the hard right either, though. So it goes back to what we always talk about, Rob. It's that 35-65 in the middles where most Americans are at, and I think um, that's that's something everybody needs to wake up to.
Sure, sure. Well, I guess the number one topic, what's going on in Iran? High
Epic
stakes.
fury, epic fury. I mean, I don't like to see any type of war stuff. It's always interesting when you sit back and say, like, President Trump. It doesn't matter what he does.
Hmm.
You got the left and the Democrats are in lockstep, except for Fetterman. They're just going to hammer the heck out of him. So cures cancer, they're going to hammer him. Gets into a war with Iran, they're going to hammer him. So that's all to be expected, at least from me. I'm not surprised by any of it. But I do think one thing that's really hard for me is like uh, the just the non-truths and the lying, because so many people rely on their CNN and their ABC, and when people aren't telling the truth, it hurts us because a lot of people have a false narrative of what's going on. And a nuclear Iran would be incredibly, incredibly dangerous. People have to look beyond the fact of Trump derangement syndrome and say, okay, nuclear Iran. But worse than that would be, you're talking a volatile Middle East any day of the week, mostly in our lifetime. There's never really any quiet time over there. And they've shown their true colors here. They're going to attack their neighboring states because they're supporting, the United States effort. So they don't care who they kill. They're going to go kill something. And the fact that they have,
I read somewhere where they literally use the American flag as doormats at their universities. That they put them outside and let the kids wipe their feet on the American flag going in and out of buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
if you don't,
for America.
Everybody, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or independent in America, you have to understand they do not think like we think. They just don't. So you can't wake up saying we're right here together. We're not. They wake up in a different spot than we do. And in a way that's okay. They're a different country. They get to do that. Other countries, Italy or Serbia, they wake up in a different spot than we do too. They got their own country. One thing about being at the big tennis tournament down here, we saw people from all over the world, and everybody's getting along great because we're all there to watch tennis, and people are nice. People talk to you, you take pictures, you take pictures of them, and it's just fun. And it's too bad the world can't be a little bit more like sports sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty sticky situation, and there's been a lot of reports about, mines being set in the Strait of Hormuz, which is obviously the choke point for a lot of the Iranian oil. But I mean, you have to think that, as someone who's been in the military, and number one, the military is never going to tip its hand. President Trump or Hegseth, they're not going to tip their hand in the media for sure. And number two, these are such precision operations. They know exactly through years and years of surveillance of what's going on, where these nuclear facilities are, where their military capabilities are. So these strikes are, very precision strikes. The object is to take out any sort of military capability, any sort of, all their ships, really, break them down to point level zero. Because again, this is because there's a regime that's, they're murdering protesters. People who speak up against the regime are getting murdered by the tens of thousands. So, we're not talking about, just, President Trump just doesn't like the president there or the leader there and had him killed. It's like, no, there's some serious operational issues. And let's face it, Iran has been an issue since 1979. That's been in my lifetime. It's been in your lifetime for sure. In the early days, pre 1979, it was actually a great society. People walked around free. It wasn't, women had to be covered head to toe. It was, a pretty progressive society. So I don't know. What's your take, Dave?
I think you're right. Iran was once a really beautiful country. It was Western. It was more democratic. I think it's a poster child for when you go from a democratic country, like a lot of people want to see the United States going to socialism and communism. Iran is just a dictatorship, not really unlike China. So it's a dictatorship / communism type country. Russia too. And look where that's gotten all those countries. China's the only one that's been able to kind of slide forward. But Iran, man, oh man, Rob, like women, for example. I mean, come on, ladies, all the ladies, whether you're woke or you're not woke, or you're liberal, you're not liberal, you're Democrat, you're Republican, I don't care. Look how women are treated in these countries. Terribly.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
And it's like, and then you turn right around and you're mad at President Trump for this. He's the only person that stepped up in leadership. I've got in our studio, he's signing the documents to protect Title IX. He literally in the Oval Office with all those young people there, he's signing the documents and the resolution he put forth for the country that protects Title IX, protects girls and their sports and their businesses and the bathrooms and the locker rooms, all that stuff. That's President Trump supporting the women. And
Mhm.
in Iran, they are what they can just be killed if they don't, wear the full garb and cover up, because that's what they do over there. And
Mhm.
it's so sad to me that people just look past that kind of stuff because
Yep.
we have people here that want all the stuff with pride and gay people having all their rights, and you do any of that stuff over there, they just kill you. And
Yeah, there's no negotiation. It's just I'm not sure if you could actually be shot on site, beheaded on site, arrested, and no court, no nothing. They just roll you out in the center square, and you end your life.
well, you go back to like the United States, like right. One of the things that's really difficult is, I'm a big law and order guy. It's like we have laws for a reason. The United States has always been a special place from the standpoint we had enough laws in place and we enforced the laws that makes all of us um, abide by a set of rules that protects most people. And the people that choose to break those laws in the United States, a lot of times, unfortunately, they get away with it. For an example, um, our most recent big stuff would be in Minneapolis, and the people are allowed to step way outside the lines of what's normal law, and
Mhm.
then a couple people get killed, like Janie Good, or what was her name?
Renee Good.
Renee Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Highly unfortunate, but should she have been where she's at and doing what she's doing? No. And if she had not got herself right in front of that situation, she'd still be here and be fine. So, even going downtown Portland and firsthand seeing what's going on in there, it's volatile. It's dangerous. I mean, Judy and I have been attacked physically downtown Portland. So, and that was a quiet day. That wasn't even a crazy day. That was just two people on drugs, stoned out of their mind, and they decided to come after us. Fortunately, I'm big enough and trained enough to do something about it, but it was scary, and I didn't like hurting that person, but that's the kind of stuff that happens. So if we don't protect our laws here in this country, we've got to get back to the point where we don't always get our way, and we can't just run out in the middle of the street and start screaming. It's
Mhm.
you and I. I mean, I'm always right when it comes to sports with you, and you're always wrong. So that's got to be frustrating for you. But you can't just run out in the street and start screaming bloody murder because Dave was right again. I
Sure.
mean, you have to do some reading, do some research, come back, debate me,
Mhm.
and we'll have another talk. And everybody, I'm kidding. Rob knows sports really well. We love talking sports. He's the Cardinals from St. Louis, and I'm the Reds from Cincinnati. But Rob, it's silly that sports could teach us more because um, we learn, everybody from Wisconsin obviously likes the Green Bay Packers, down here. There's a lot of Green Bay Packer fans. And, they don't like my Minnesota Vikings. And it's sports, though. And at the end of the day, you can go out and get some coffee or a beer or some lunch, and you just talk. You move past all the stuff. And my prayers all the time is like where we live in Newburgh, Oregon. Even though we're out of state right now, it's like I want to see people get back to that kind of stuff, Rob. I mean, you and
Mhm.
I have had some good disagreements, and I don't even for a second think that I'm not going to invite Rob out for coffee or golf, which we have to golf more, but is because we disagree. I'm like, that doesn't even enter my thought process that we disagreed. It just, and I think honestly, like right now in our country, I'd like to see everybody. We talk about, phones. We talk about what it's like to have our screen time way too much, especially for our young people, right? Too much computer, too much phone. And, with that said, I think we as a society need to step back and say, let's put this thing down a little bit, put it down, put it in a drawer, put it away, and get back to this, where call somebody up that down here every day. I try to call somebody up and just have a little chat with them. It's really fun, just a live conversation, whether it's 30 seconds or 30 minutes. Just chatting with people, and being on vacation, we're not on the TV as much nearly, and I haven't been on my computer in 3 weeks. And I tell you what, that's awesome. It's awesome. And I think for across our country, a lot of people need to. I'd like to see everybody take a big step back and just take a big deep breath. I think I told you, but since I got down here, I've been doing Tai Chi, and I just wanted to try it. I kept seeing all the Instagram ads on it and everything, and it's kind of way outside my
Buff
comfort.
guy, the guy, old man, he's buff, with all bulging out, Yeah, I've seen those.
And I'm like, I don't look like him yet, but I'll tell you the one thing I have liked about it is the quietness, the mental focus I can get.
Mindfulness.
My,
Yeah.
my balance is getting better. It really is, and I'm just telling you, it works. Now, I put the music on my phone. I'm gonna do it right now so you can hear what I listen to.
No, don't do it. No, don't play music, Dave. Don't.
Oh, this is just like theme music.
No, don't. Dave will get canceled. Don't do it.
So it's really mellow.
If you do it, this show's over. We won't be able to live stream
But
anymore.
I pray to Jesus the whole time I'm doing it. I do. I have a great prayer. I just start with the cross and I just move backwards, or forwards, through different stuff. And so I've incorporated Jesus in my Tai Chi, and it's awesome. I mean, that's me. Doesn't have to be you, but that's what I'm doing.
So just as you say, put your phone away. Your phone dings. You get a message.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? It's in our head like that dings. I've got to look. I got to look. If I don't look, I'm going to miss out on $1 million. No, it's just somebody saying something.
Hey, Dave, listen, we got to cover this because since you've been gone, there's been a little bit of a development here in Oregon with the Oregon Republican race.
Yep.
We've got Ed Deal, ran into a little bit of trouble there and, possibly some ethics violations with, being some allegations of that. And then Uncle Phil Knight, obviously the CEO and founder of Nike, just handed Chris Dudley, the former Portland Trailblazer, $1 million as a donation for his campaign. Right. So he put his money behind Chris Dudley. I know we talked with Danielle Bethel. We really enjoyed her and thought she was a great person, a really great future. I know David Medina, also another candidate, and as we spoke with some of the other candidates as well. What's your take on Uncle Phil giving them $1 million to Dudley?
I've never met Phil Knight. I've been inside Howard White and some of the people that are like, just outside his inner circle. But Howard White's, by way, is one that signed Michael Jordan. So, I mean, Howard White's got a lifetime sweetheart deal with Nike. But great guy, by the way. But he knows Judy better than I. But I think Phil Knight, in my lifetime, if you pick one person who's impacted Oregon more, I couldn't name him. And I think that Phil Knight wants to give $100 or $1 million to a candidate like that. I'm like, that is awesome. I mean, I just think it's awesome that that he can do that. Now, a lot of people would say, well, that's not fair. Why do you think give $1 million to everybody? Because politics isn't fair. Sports isn't fair. This world's not fair. So, get off the equity crap stuff. It's like, that's who he wants to be governor. Then he gets to do that. It's just like you and me. We might have $20 to put into a candidate. We don't have $1 million. And that's the truth. We don't have, hundreds or thousands of dollars to give to people. So if we have $20 and we want to give it, we give it to the candidate we want. And if you're looking at Christine Drazen, Chris Dudley, David Medina, Ed Deal, and Daniel Bethel, we've met them all. Who would I give my $20 to? Right now in the primary, I'd probably give $4 to all of them because I want them all to run their primary and let the Oregonians, pick. At the end of the day,
But Dave, that's a cop out. Come on, man, that's a cop out. Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
But I like all 5 of those candidates.
Yeah, but come on, who's going to win? Just put it on. I mean, David, you have a personal relation with David Medina. Let's just put that out there. You've met Chris Dudley. We've met some of these other folks. Like, put it on the line. Early on, you said that deal was going to be a great candidate. So, what's it going to be? Lay it on the line, big man.
Well, I'll tell you, I know. This is so good because this is like Bill Clinton 101. Just do the moonwalk backwards until you never talk about anything. I will say that I think all 5 are better than Tina Kotek. I think probably the person who's got the most ability to step into the governorship role would be Ed Deal. I think he is outstanding when it comes to being in the legislature. I've spent much time with him. Um, I think Dudley's got the ability in the business section to be a really good governor. I think that's why a lot of business people like him. A lot of people feel like Dudley is the best candidate in the general election against Kotek after the primary.
Yeah.
I probably don't disagree with that because he's got some name recognition and money. Christine Drazen has a lot of experience down there. She's taken a lot of hard knocks. She's already lost one governorship race, but she had the courage to jump in and do it again. So good for her. I loved our time with Daniel Bethel. And then I like David Medina for a different reason. I think he brings a totally different side, a younger side to the race that's good. Is he quite ready yet? I think any of the five could do the job. Look at the governors we've had in the last 20 years. What qualifications do they really have? They've done a terrible job. They've run our country to the ground. So I'd say today in the primary, if you're asking me to bet money, it's going to be Chris Dudley.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'll tell you that the celebrity factor really goes a long way these days, right? I mean, but you can't deny it,
I think Ed Deal, though, will be right there with him. I really do. I think David's still going to surprise some people. David has a huge following, and I think the Republicans are remiss if they don't try to tap into that. And I think like Dudley or Ed Deal would be served well at some point here to join forces with a David Medina who can bring a youth and a younger version of the voters to the primary.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, I'm going to lay it out to you, man. It's not stand tall with Rob Stagenborg, stand tall with Dave Brown. So I'm putting your name on the line. You need to get David Medina on the show within the next 2 weeks.
Deal.
Do not a split screen, do a studio, whatever it is. Get him on the show. Let's find out what he's all about.
Like that, no problem. I'd like to talk to Ed Deal again too. Ed, so everybody just knows this. Here's what I know about these candidates. Ed Deal is a really good man. He's a really good husband. He's a really good father. He's a good businessman. He has good practical in his thought process. He understands how things flow, and he's highly intelligent, and he does care. That's one thing I like about Ed Deal. I just know when I'm around him. We were playing golf this last summer. And he looks at me and goes, I said, Ed, when are you going to run for governor? And he looks at me and goes, you should run for governor. And I looked at him and I said, oh, come on, man. I said, you're the one that's in the legislature. And he goes, yeah, but you'd be a better governor than me. And I'm like, no, I really wouldn't. And we're in the same golf cart. And that's because he's making his wife walk. No, I'm just teasing. We caught up to her and then she got my spot and I jumped out. But he's a really good guy. I mean, and me, I'm okay with everybody, but high character people are there. I think Chris Dudley's got a lot of high character values in him. He's happily married. He's a great dad. I don't think
he's a successful businessman. And he went to Yale, Yale Business School. He's been actually ran for governor previously, almost won against John Hithnagle or whatever it was. I forgot the name.
He's got one major flaw, Rob.
What's that?
He can't shoot a free throw to save his life.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no, but he was good enough to carve out like a 12-year career in the NBA. Yeah. So,
that's a pension. He gets his pension from the NBA. That's not bad.
And then we met Bethel, and I think any of these people have done enough work where they can have people taking pot shots at them. Christine Drazen's had a lot of people take pot shots at her. And but she got back up off the mat and she's running again. So I respect her for that. But I do think Ed Deal or Chris Dudley will win it.
Well, they're two different candidates. I mean, certainly Ed Deal, for those who don't really know, or I know we've talked about it in the past, he was very instrumental in the referendum to block the gas tax that was threatening that Tina Kotek had threatened. So, certainly was in the fight there and was in Salem pushing those buttons and making those deals happen to make that referendum go. So now he comes up as a gubernatorial candidate against Kotek, who he, specifically. So now Ed Deal, where is he from? He's from what, Tualatin or Sherwood or
No, he's
what's
just
his?
outside of Salem,
Oh, Salem. Okay, all right.
Staten area, that area.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't sure. And then Dudley is from Tualatin, right, or Lake Oswego, or
Yeah.
yeah, okay, Lake O.
Again, I think the primary is exciting that we have 5 pretty tough candidates in this thing, and I think everybody needs to be ready for an upset in the primary because if Chris Dudley maybe is the best Republican in the general, that doesn't make him the best candidate in the primary. A primary is like a best 2 out of 3 in baseball, which I don't like because I think you play 162 games to get into a 3-game set between the Reds and the Cardinals.
Dave, keep talking. I gotta let my dog out the room.
No
He's just
problem.
going crazy. Hold on.
Go.
Keep
I
talking.
think when you look at a 2 out of 3 and the Cardinals are 95 and 67 and the Reds are barely over 500 ball, the Reds could still steal a win and win a 2 out of 3 series, even though they're not had a good as regular season. And I think that's the same thing in the primary. We could definitely see any of these 5 sneak in there and win it. And I know from being the former chair of Yamhill County that a lot of our county, are Ed Deal fans. And I think a lot of the county level people are Deal fans, and they'll get out the vote that way. Ed Deal's more like the working man, grassroots kind of guy. But what Ed Deal, him and Bruce Starr get a lot of credit. Senator Bruce Starr, they get a lot of credit for the tax referendum. I will say, sure, okay. I know David Medina put a lot of effort into helping Ed Deal get that passed, but he doesn't get any credit. I know that Chris Dudley and Christine Drazen were pushing for that really hard too, but Ed Deal and Bruce Starr kind of got all the credit, which, come on, man. It's like, look at the hockey thing. The kid, what's his name, that gets the goal to wins the gold.
Oh, Jack Hughes.
He'll go down as the legendary Jack Hughes for the rest of our lives. It was honestly one of my top sports moments of my lifetime to see that happen. But the goalie will always people know hockey are going to be in. They're going to talk about that goalie. Can't remember his name. See, can't remember his name now.
Pennington.
He played one of the greatest goalie games in the history of hockey anywhere, and yet Hughes gets all the credit, and that's what happens in politics. Ed Deal and Bruce do the tax referendum. Good for them. Good timing. It's a great thing to get behind. I signed it. Judy signed it. Everybody's, we had a lot of Democrats sign it. Independents signed it because nobody wants a bunch of higher taxes in Oregon. And, honestly, with everybody out there, that's why we have to really do better as Republicans. We have to vote. And you've got to go out and get every single person and don't let them off the hook. I mean, duct tape them to a wagon and drag them down and get their ballot and vote, because if Republicans vote, Republicans win, Oregon can get back to common sense, politics. And we can't keep going like this because we're 70% down the road, like about as far as California is. And we're losing businesses, we're losing companies. We just talked to somebody yesterday that another business left Oregon, and California is losing businesses all over.
Well, that's a good point. It brings up, our neighbors, Washington State instituted the millionaires tax, and now the Starbucks, owner moved out of Washington. Like Starbucks is associated with Seattle now. They're not even there. So, kind of interesting how this, the millionaires tax, could backfire.
Oh, totally, and that's sad because. You and I have talked. We haven't got big in this. We'll have to do a full couple podcasts straight through, and you can hear my whole vision on the flat tax. But if everybody pays, a percentage, a person not making very much money, working part time, or let's say they're making 16, $20 an hour. If they pay their percent, but then the rich person pays their percent. We'd be so much better off as a country. And you don't have to have a millionaire's tax. You're just getting taxes from those people. They hardly pay any taxes now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so dumb that we think we're just going to have all the rich people just pay all of our bills for us. We have half our country on welfare and food stamps and Social Security and government handouts. So it's not a it's got to change.
Yeah. Well, that's
Hey, I
that's
wanted to
gonna be
jump in a little bit. So it's just been raining cats and dogs up in Oregon.
a lot of rain. It's I'll tell you what, Dave. I know you don't spend a lot of time here because you're always on the road, but Oregon's known for rain. Oregon's known for wet. It's wet season.
I was a tennis coach for 25 years, Rob, and March was shaky, every other day.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to practice. We'd be in the gym. I get that, but I'm hearing every day the kids are in the gym. There's flood warnings in Tualatin. How high is the Willamette River right now?
Um, I don't know because I don't live by the river, so I don't. I live uptown. Me and you live uptown, Dave. Come, let's face it. We live up in the upper part of Newburgh.
Yeah, we're in the upper crust. You
Yeah.
haven't seen upper
Well,
crust until you've seen
no,
rental
we're actually pushed
houses.
up against the hill. We're up against the hill more.
Hey, you go to the best neighborhood in Newburgh. Pick it. I don't care. You pick it. Last night we were in Rancho Mirage in the high end.
Yeah.
The high end. Let's just say Brad Pitt probably used to live in this neighborhood. We were there.
Mm.
Oh, dude, we're the best neighborhood in Newburgh wouldn't even qualify for their shed, which they
Uh,
don't do sheds. So it was just unreal, unbelievable. It's like
no, I'm okay.
it's unbelievable. Um, so I wanted to ask you about that, but again, just really quickly on all the politics in Oregon. Please get out there, get involved, know what's going on, know what these people are about, and pick the person who represents you, very well. And I think all five of these candidates pose a real threat. By the way, that the Oregon Department of Education, they're run by the OEA, the Oregon Union, teachers unions, dropped their sponsorship and their money. Not going to happen for Nicotech.
Really?
Really,
Interesting.
that's big because
Yeah.
the teachers union were her number one contributor, campaign
Yeah.
contributor. And so, what's going on there? What's behind the scenes on that? That one surprised me a little bit, but I think, and this is for everybody out there, being in education for so long, I think that the what happened is the teachers unions are going, like Newburgh, $6 million tax levy, $550. Our taxes will go up per year if it passes. So if you
Mm.
own a home in Newburgh, your taxes are going to go up three to, $800. So just get ready for that. If this tax levy fails or passes in May, you're going to get a chance to vote on it. And they want it to be in May so they can get a low turnout from the Republicans so they can pass it. And why do they need the money, Rob? Because the state's not giving them enough money because they don't have enough students sitting in the seats. The reason they don't have enough students sitting in the seats is they're providing a very poor product. And they
Mm.
have for the last 6 to 10 years, they keep thinning down the quality of the public education. And with that, people have left for private school, homeschool, the whole 9 yards. And so, with that said, you've got no ability to keep people there. And with nobody ability to keep people there,
Mhm.
then they're losing tax revenue. And I
Well,
think,
go ahead.
no, I
Well,
think
let me.
what I was going to say is the teachers unions know that they box themselves into a corner that they have got to do a better job, which is great. I mean, it's not a hard concept. Just do a better job. We're going to do something we've never done here at Stantal. You ready?
What's that?
I got my boy George, and you'll hear some background noise now. So we're in real life right now. We're in real life.
Okay. All
So
right. Well, I got my dogs, got my kids, got my family behind me too. I'll tell you, we need to get back in the studio. It doesn't seem natural when we're not in the studio.
yeah, no, it doesn't. I missed
What'd you have
that.
for breakfast? What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
I have only had a cup of coffee and one piece of salami.
Wow.
We're gonna have French toast. Good morning,
French
everybody.
toast.
Welcome
Okay.
to St. Paul.
Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Morning. How you
We're
feeling? Last time we saw you, you were in the hospital.
I know. See, my back still hurts. I'm gonna have to go to somebody who,
Chiropractor.
yeah, because it kind of tingles. It's kind of like when you get one of those electrodes on your back. That's the
Mm.
way it feels. Yeah. I
Ah,
don't know. It's so ridiculous, but
well, sorry it
happened.
happened.
I'm safe. I'm so sad for the other girl. So yeah,
Well,
that's what happens. So
yeah,
well, keep talking. Keep talking.
If we can find adversity, we will find it.
yeah. Well, have a good day.
One of the last I wanted to ask you about this too. I just think public education is knowing that they got to do a better job, which is great. If that's what
Yeah.
they recognized out of this whole thing, and like I said, we'll give credit where credit's due. I'm impressed that Newberg High School, where I worked, we'll always love Newberg High School and we'll always hate Newberg High School, but they took away cell phones for the most part at the secondary level.
Mhm.
A great move. Mark Brown, the principal there, we've had our differences. I don't know if that was Mark that made that decision or what, but it was a great decision. And we need to do that more and more and more and get our kids away from their cell phones at school. So we'll
Yeah.
give credit where credit's due. We've talked about people down here about having more people on the opposite sides of the fence. And you and I, as soon as we
Mhm.
get back into Oregon, Rob, we're going to do that a lot. We want to get people that don't necessarily think alike to be on our show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. We've had a lot of people who,
Sure.
are some people have been very far right. You're really pushing the ledge of the right side, and then we've had some people more closer in the middle. So, but Dave, I got to ask you this, and I'm not sure you even have heard this story because again, you've been out of the state. Are you on the run or something? You got the
On a
cops
what?
after you?
On
You've
a
been out
run?
of the state. Are you on the run?
Yeah, I've never really told you this, but we've been in a witness relocation program for a long time.
Okay,
From back in the day when Judy and I were, doing banks and stuff like that. So,
great
uh,
program, great program.
you know,
But listen, actually, there's been the West Lynn Wilsonville school board has voted to recall, their whole school board. You know, I
I
know
heard
you've been
that.
through that whole business and that whole political mess and that whole movement. What's happening and what have you heard and what can those people expect?
Well, the sad thing and what you can expect is the public education's, they're in a big storm, and what we went through, my buddies here, that there's just some serious issues with. Education. Wilsonville, West Lynn expects a lot out of their education, and they've had it pretty easy for a long time. They have, really good teachers there. They have, a little bit more money than the average school district. But now they're running into the typical, stuff that's going on in public education. They can't escape it, and the money part is real. And it doesn't matter if you're inner city Portland or West Lynn, Wilsonville. Every student is worth about $13,000 to that
Mhm.
school district. And when you have 100 kids leave, do the math. I mean, that's
Mhm.
$1.3 million. So, all the flack we took, 5 years ago on the Newberg School Board is stuff that's happening to everybody now. And we knew we were the tip of the spear. Um, we fought back against the woke agenda that was coming out there, and that's just what has to happen. You can't have socialism. Does not work. It never works. Never has worked in the history of our world. Socialism does not work,
Mhm.
and that's what the teachers unions and public schools have moved towards, that kind of model of thinking. And they've got to get back to common sense thinking. And we have bloated administrative cost. We have bloated counseling cost. How come we didn't have anybody talking about a lot of these issues back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s? And now we're
Mhm.
spending a ton of money on it. And it costs a lot of money to have every kid on an IEP and have every,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and have,
And a lot of programs they've instituted, federal programs they've instituted in schools that may have been somewhat unnecessary or, may have been a little superfluous. I don't know. I know just as my kids go to the public schools, I've been experiencing some of the weirdness and some of the weird vibes and stuff like that from the people in the faculty and what have you. So luckily there are people who work in the schools who they just decide they're not going to get involved with any of it. They just come in, do their jobs, they do them very well, and usually they're the frontline teachers who they're you know so that stuff's so far above them they don't even really worry about it.
but the problem with that theory is like we've had so many people put their head in the sand that now we're stuck on a sandbar,
Yeah.
and they're going to be stuck in that too. It's not really hard. The whole answer is parents want a good education to their kids. They want their kids to be safe, and kids. You look at it from a kid standpoint. All a kid wants is just, make school interesting. You know, give me some good classes, give me some good activities to do, and I'll dig it. You know,
Mm.
I just know in my entire career, Judy was a great teacher because she just kept kids. What was interesting, doing
Mm.
projects, hands on, doing stuff, and then coaching. It was like, I there was some practice I do the same thing for the whole practice if it was working. There
Yeah.
are other practices where you're changing it every 5 minutes and you're just trying to hopefully get a spark, for the
Sure.
kids where they're like, oh yeah, that's good.
Hmm.
Education can be boring and slow, but what a lot of people need right now is that the parents really want their kids just to go to school. They don't need any of the pride BS. They don't need any of the Black Lives Matter. They don't need any of the equity crap. They don't need that stuff. They just want their kid to go and get an education. And we just don't need third parties coming in and trying to influence our kids. And I think a lot of the people in education are starting to get that, but not all. It's not going to be an easy transition. It's like right now, in our nation's political thing. I wanted to say this before we left today.
Hmm.
Is when you look at Trump derangement syndrome, I get it. I mean, sometimes the guy can just be a dick. I get it, but what you have to sit back and look at President Trump is it's like with Joe Biden. I told you he's my president. I need to honor him as my president. I
Hmm.
would I would sit down and shake his hand and say thank you, sir, for what you're doing, even though I didn't agree with any of his policies. Um, I think if everybody
But
today, Rob, moving forward, would just
mm,
walk away from this show, walk away from whatever you're doing today, but every encounter you have with other human beings, be respectful. And if we
sure.
just did that one thing, just be respectful,
You,
it'd be better.
one of the things that, we talk a lot about, you just talked about President Trump and what he's done for the country. And I got to be honest with you, David, a couple of things that just really disappointed me is, some of the character of the people he's chosen to lead, like this whole situation with Christy Nome, the situation with Lori Chavez Redeemer. I'm not sure if you heard about that situation
Yeah.
where her husband can't even come into her office because there's a sexual harassment. Like the 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 quality of some of these people is just, I don't know. It's coming back to
I don't
Biden.
think
It's going to hurt
so.
him.
I mean,
It's
I've
going to
met
hurt the
Dreamer.
Republican Party in the midterms, though.
I've met Dreamer. I just think people are people. People are going to be sinners. Sinners are going to make bad decisions. Trump's not going to hire everybody great. These people make mistakes on the job. Happens every day at every job,
But they're
everywhere.
but they're allowed to stay in the positions until it gets to a point where they just can't keep them anymore. That's to me a red flag. Some of the stories coming out of DHS is Christy Nome, wanting to play dress up all the time and didn't want to actually address the problem. And again, people got shot, people got killed. She had a terrible response to that. So I think people definitely want something different. Now again, Mark Wayne Mullen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He seems like he's a pretty serious guy. But again, proof's in the pudding. People want something different. They don't want, gangs of enforcement people roaming the streets, just picking out random people. That's loud and clear, and the fact that that was allowed to happen, leaves a bit of a bitter taste for people.
I guess I'm more like in the stance that Joe Biden left Donald Trump the biggest mess in the history of our country, and it's not going to be pretty how to clean it up. And Christy Nome helped get that border secured, and that had to happen. And now we're on the road to recovery, which is going to take years. It'll go far past Trump's presidency. How to bring our country back. As far as people in this country illegally, it's a huge mess. When you're down in California, the Hispanic population down here is big compared to our neck of the woods, and uh, there's a lot of good, hardworking, Hispanic people here that there's American as you and me, and,
Hmm.
and I've talked to different people like that too, and they're like, yeah, we don't want all this craziness going on because we came here and did it the right way. We did it the right way. My family did it the right way. We did it the right way, and now we're stuck with these people here, and it's just going to be a long process, and people are going to have to know that World War II for us was about um, almost 5 years to get through World War II.
Mm.
But the post World War II, when Pearl Harbor happened in 1941, do you know what happened in the next year? We got our tails kicked from one end of the Pacific to the other. We lost everything. We lost every battle. Everything was hard. We had people training to be soldiers for Europe and the South Pacific with broomsticks. Our country was so ill prepared for a war at that time, and we lost everything. Read the book 1942, and our country, it was bad, bad,
Mm.
bad, bad. Across our country, and we're kind of in that mode now where we allowed something so bad to happen. If everybody got involved sooner and shut down Hitler pre 1936 Olympics, when everybody started knowing what he was doing, but nobody did anything. Nobody did anything. Nobody did anything, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's too late. And that's kind of what happened here. And so, Democrats and Republicans are going to have to get uh, their big boy pants on, get on the same page on how to deal with this. And is it going to go around the streets, just knocking on the door, rounding people up? I don't think they were just knocking on the streets, just grabbing anybody. It was a brown-skinned person. I think that they had intel that said that there could be a bad person there. And but again, when you don't have any records of anybody coming over, it's hard to frickin' know who's
Mhm.
who. You know,
Yeah.
I get asked for ID if I go to the library. That's another thing I wanted to ask you about today. Um, I know we got to wrap up here in a second. I got my family out here. We got the voter ID thing. I'm shocked. I mean, Judy and I were talking about how many different places I go: the DMV, the library, heck, almost McDonald's. I got to have the ID to, the bank. Everywhere I go, I got to show my ID. And yet all these people are like, no, we don't want an ID for people for voting. It's like, seriously? Everybody needs to show ID all throughout their lifetime. Every day, every week, we have to pull out our ID. We can't do anything money-wise transaction. Go get on an airplane, go over the border, Oregon, California, everything. We have to show ID, Rob. And I get it, because we want to make sure we know who we're dealing with. And that's exactly what has to happen here with the voting thing. We need to make sure we have, U.S. citizens voting. And these people that aren't U.S. citizens, I would like to see a cleaner, better pathway moving forward to become a citizen. I don't think it should take 1 to 5 years. I think we could do it a lot more efficiently than that. And so there's going to have to be a trust built up between these people that are not
Mhm.
U.S. citizens, but they're living here and they want to be here to live and they want to be a citizen. Okay, we need to put you through the steps to do that, so you're a good U.S. citizen. Every other country in the world does this, every country. Or you just want to be here and work. I never did like the green card connotation. That just sounds bad. But we need to have a method for people to be here to work, send money home to your family, fine. And then you go home every 6 months, come back a couple months later. And if you want to work again, because this is where you can, do a good job. I'm out here and I love landscaping. I like landscaping my house. I love it. These guys that take care of the grounds that we're on here at this facility where we're at, they're nice guys. Are they legal or illegal? I don't know. But I do know that they do great work and they're passionate about it. And I'm going to walk outside here in about 2 minutes and it's beautiful. And they do fantastic work. I think people like that are, for the most part, probably 80, 90, 95% of the people that came over would make great U.S. citizens. Let's get the Democrats and the Republicans on the same page to make that happen.
Yep.
That's what I think. But the ones that are bad, hombres, bad criminals, bad dudes, bad women, I agree with President Trump. They got to go, because they're the ones that they've literally, murdered, raped, tortured, stolen. And we know we have to lock criminals up. We know we do, whether they're white, brown, or black. It doesn't even matter. They got to be locked up. But hey, I got to go. My grandkids are out at the door, beating on it, waiting to come in. And so I'll talk to you on the phone on the flip side, and let's do this again. And I'll get over to the rec center. And I'm amazed in 3 weeks. You still look pretty good.
Hey, I've been taking care of myself, man.
Hey, do Tai Chi. Tell me.
Yeah,
You'll like
I've
it.
been
You'll like it.
learning a little bit about the artificial intelligence, a little bit about AI. I've been doing some courses on that, and that's been
We got to talk about that too, because my son talked to me about AI the other day, and he said, "Dad, it's coming big time. People are going to
Yep.
be losing their jobs, especially in a white collar world."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it's going to be coming. So anyway, but I don't want to scare anybody. It does take human beings to manage it and to oversee it and to edit and make sure it's producing content. So that's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, Dave, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I do. I just want to say, I hope it stops raining in Oregon. I hope the primary gets people's interest going up there. We had a blast at the PNB. We saw Fritz, Alcaraz, Djokovic, Townsend, Brooksby, Dimitrov, Zverev, Draper. We saw them all, man. Rob, I got some of the tennis we saw was just off the hook. We're having a great time with our kids right now and our grandkids. And we'll do another one here in a couple of days. So thanks.
Sounds good.
Okay, man. Stand tall with Dave and Rob, and we'll talk to you next time.